All right, this is the review for financial literacy, chapters 1 through 4. If I were you, I would pull out a piece of paper and I would take some notes. The test will be on, well, the next class period, and so it's mostly vocabulary. There are 50 questions altogether. There are some true and false questions. There are a number of multiple choice questions, and there are some kind of fill-in-the-blank word matching type questions. All right, 50 questions total. Asking for paper. Now, what you can do is you can listen to this review. I would suggest you focus. I've done some studies on this. It's quite interesting. Most students do worse on the second half of the test than on the first half. I've looked at that and I've realized that the second half is no more challenging than the first half. So my only conclusion is, as we review the test, some of you just got to phase out and lose your focus as the review continues. And so if you focus for the entire 30, 35, 40 minutes, you will do better on the test, okay? All right. The other thing I would remind you is that if you want to go to canesworld.org, you can listen to a different review, same material, but just a different way to say it. You can listen to that review. It's already online, so you can listen, and the combination of listening today and the review online should certainly prepare you to be successful on the test. Okay? Here we go. What do we call a network of legal services that provide free or very low cost legal help to people that need help? Now this was on, if you believe it or not, this was on the last page of the last chapter. We just talked about it at the end of class last time.
Legal Aid Society.
Legal Aid Society, that's what it's called. Legal Aid Society is it's a network of law officers that offices that provide free or low-cost legal help. When you buy any large item like a car, like a house, you put cash into the deal. What do we call that? The cash portion of the deal. The down payment. The down payment is always provided at the time of purchase, right? All right. What's the best way to protect important documents? Safety deposit box. Okay, according to the test, nothing else is a good alternative to that, which is kind of a little bit of a stretch in my mind, but just remember, if you read a question, the safety deposit box, according to the book, is the only thing that's really a good way to keep important documents, okay? What is the Consumer Price Index? This is an economic thing that the government provides, or it releases the Consumer Index. It's a basket of goods, of products that they keep track of, and they are trying to keep track of whether or not inflation is causing the purchasing power of the dollar to go down. So they look at bread, they look at gasoline, or I don't think they use gasoline actually because it's too much fluctuation. But they look at milk and bread and a lot of other products, a basket of like 40 different products, to determine whether or not we're seeing inflation. It's called the Consumer Price Index. And the government publishes that once a month or once a quarter. I think it's every month on that one. Let's see, where should you learn, or what kind of things should you do to explore potential career options? What? Internship is excellent. An internship or job shadowing, or you can also join professional associations. And there, if you go to those association meetings, you would learn a lot about the industry. Okay? You doing okay so far? What's a mentor? Good. Someone who helps train you, an experienced person. You get a job. When you're new at a job, they will assign you a mentor in many cases that you can ask questions to, and they will walk you through getting acclimated to your new job. Good. What form must you fill out when you get hired in order for them to process you for payroll? What form do you have to fill out? The W-4 form. That's correct. W-4. Now notice, I am reviewing the test very accurately. Every question I'm asking you is a very specific question on the test. Okay? What is a standard of living? Standard of living.
Amount of money per capita the country makes.
Good. That's the best way. It is a measure of productivity, not income. Standard of living, we take all the goods and services that is produced in the country, we divide it by the population, and we come up with standard of living. So it's how much is produced in a country per person. That's standard of living. It is not an income measure. It's a productivity measure. Okay. Let's see. What's the time value of money say? The time value of money. What's that principle? It's pretty simple, actually. The time value of money says that the longer you have to wait for your money, the less valuable it is. $20 in your hand today is worth $20. A promise of giving you $20 a year from now is not worth $20 today. That's the time value of money. Tell me the difference between a short-term and a long-term goal. Go.
The duration, you have to wait.
And how long?
Long term exceeds a year.
How many?
Exceeds a year for long term.
Nope. A short-term goal is under a year. A long-term goal is over 5 years. In between 1 year and 5 years is called intermediate goals. There are 3, okay? So short-term goal is anything in the next year. If you're a senior and you want to graduate, that's a short-term goal. A vacation this summer is a short-term goal. Christmas, next Christmas, if you have a plan for next Christmas, that's a short-term goal. It's less than 12 months. All right. If I said to you, spending, saving, and investing to have a certain kind of life are all concepts and principles of what? Saving, spending, and investing are all principles involved in
Money management.
in the field. Well, money management would be good. Financial planning, or yeah, financial planning. Okay. What's another name for a trade-off?
Opportunity cost.
Opportunity cost is correct. Technically, if you were to take economics, there is a small difference between, but this book does not distinguish between the difference. They use the words interchangeably. A trade-off or an opportunity cost. And remember, every decision you make, there is an opportunity cost. No matter what you buy, it means you can't buy or will not buy something else. Okay? All right. What's the definition of compound interest? Go.
Interest that is formed on other interest.
Yes, interest that is earned from previously earned interest. Interest on interest is compound interest. And as a famous person once said, it's the most powerful force in the universe, right? Who is that person?
Albert Einstein.
Albert Einstein, right. Okay. Here's the definition. Tell me what the word is. The way in which people make, distribute, and consume goods and services is called what? People make, the decisions people make to produce products, to consume products, and distribute products is called what? It's called economics, or that's the economy. That's what the economy does. It describes what people make and how they distribute them. Okay? All right. See, this is a piece of cake. Let's see. Do you remember what it's called? What do we call it when we add up all the products that are produced and provided to the marketplace? What is that called? Everything that gets produced is called the... Oh, yes, it is actually, by that what I just said, but no, that's not what I'm shooting for. But yes, it is GDP. I'm looking for supply. It's the supply of the product, right? If you added up how much gasoline was in all the tanks and all the gas stations in Utah County, that would be the Utah County supply of gas. If you add up all the donuts made in all of Utah County this morning, that would be the supply of donuts, right? We talked about supply. All right, what's the organization called that handles and runs the central banking system in the United States? The central banking organization of the United States is called?
Federal Reserve.
The Federal Reserve System. Exactly right. Who's in charge of that? Ben Bernanke. And he is, without a doubt, the most powerful person in the world, financially speaking. Okay?
Federal Reserve is in charge of what?
What?
What is the Federal Reserve in charge of?
Federal Reserve is the central banking organization of the United States. They basically run or oversee the banking system. And because of that, and they set interest rates. And they do other things, liquidity of currency and just a bunch of stuff. And what's their job? Their job is to stabilize the economy. We don't want depressions. We don't want growth that is too fast. We want to keep a nice, even pace. We like to grow by 2 or 3% a year. We want inflation to be 1 or 2% a year. And we want to just cruise along like that. That would be perfect. And it doesn't happen that way because of business cycles. Remember we talked about business cycles? Okay. What do we call a series of equal payments? Or an equal, what do we call a series of equal income to us? If we get $600 a month from something, what do we call that over time? There's a word for that stream of income.
Annual income?
No?
Fixed income.
It's called an annuity. An annuity. It's a stream of income, or technically it's a stream of, yeah, it's a regular stream of income. If Social Security payments, in a sense, could be considered an annuity. Okay. Let's see. All products are either goods, which means there's something tangible, or services. Goods or services. Everything. This pencil is a good. Mowing your lawn is a service. Cutting your hair is a service. Doctor exam is a service. If he gives you a pill to take, that's a good. Anything tangible is a good. Kind of a stupid word, but all right. Remember what demographic trends are? We talked about trends. Name a couple of trends that are going on right now in the United States. Go.
Baby boom.
Baby boomers. The oldest baby boomer is turning 66 this year. And so that is a major trend. We're seeing a flood, a literal flood of retired people over the next 18 years. It's going to be unbelievable. What else? We see a lot of fitness trends.
Diet pills.
Okay, and yeah, weight loss and fitness and exercise, and those are all due, the exercise trends are due to what? They're due to more leisure time. People have more leisure time than they used to. So we find ways to fill up our time, okay? It used to be that nobody was fat because everybody was working 12 hours a day. That manual labor, they were bending over and walking through the field, planting and pulling stuff. Today we sit behind computers, eat bonbons, and we get fat. It's terrible. What are bonbons? I'm sorry, that's an old reference. You know what they used to be? They're delicious. They're little balls of ice cream, chocolate-covered ice cream. Delicious.
Did you eat them?
Oh, all the time. Used to sit and watch Oprah and eat bonbons. Yeah, fantastic. All right. Let's see. Here's a weird question. Don't know where it comes from. It's a little unfair, so I will tell you. What states have seen growth in job growth and population growth in recent years? Fastest growing job growth. No, what states? Utah's good. Arizona, of the what we call Sun Belt states. Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, all these places. California, no. They're having more people are moving out of California than moving in. New York, no. The West Coast and the East Coast have not enjoyed fast job growth. Arizona is one of the biggest ones. Okay? All right, let's see. How do interest rates affect certain industries? For example, the construction industry. How does interest rates, does it help or hurt construction industry? What do you think?
High interest rates hurt.
What?
High interest rates hurt the construction.
Why?
People don't want to pay a high interest rate for their bills.
Yeah, that's exactly true. The lower the interest rate, the better it is for construction of real estate, obviously, because people are more willing and able to buy real estate when interest rates are low. Well, where are the interest rates right now?
So,
You see, you can understand how these things work if you put two and two together. Interest rates right now are extremely low, the lowest they've been in many, many, many years. I've never seen interest rates this low. I mean, you can get a mortgage on a house for about 4% now, which is unbelievable, unheard of. And that's because now this is Ben Bernanke and the Federal Reserve. They're the ones that set these interest rates. They have created such a low interest rate environment in order to try to stimulate the real estate market. Hasn't really worked yet. In fact, interest rates are so low, they really can't drop the interest rates anymore. There's just nowhere to go. 4% is about the floor of interest rates for mortgages. Banks these days can literally borrow money for zero interest. Zero. That's how low, I mean, you can't go below zero for interest, right? So the government has done everything they possibly can to try to stimulate and get that real estate market going again, and yet it's still struggling pretty heavily. Yeah, pretty interesting. So interest rates are very, very powerful in the economy. Our big concern is that interest rates might start going up again before the real estate market has actually recovered. And if that happens, then the real estate recovery will be a lot longer before it happens, if interest rates go up. Anyway, let's see what else there is here. Okay, we know what that is. What does the cover letter do? What's the purpose of the cover letter?
You're running to tell the employer why they should hire you.
Exactly. It tells the employer why they should hire you, and why you want the job. Okay? It should be inviting enough that they want to look at your resume. But it tells the employer why you want a particular job. Now, what's the best places to look for a job?
The newspaper?
What?
The newspaper?
Newspaper is okay. It's not as powerful and important as it used to be. It used to be the only place, but the newspaper still has classifieds. Where else?
talk to your friends.
Networking is very powerful. The most single powerful way of getting a job is networking. And of course the internet and job fairs. Excellent method for looking for jobs, a job fair. Okay? There are three types of investments or benefits that you get when you work, or you make investments. And they can be broken down into three types: taxable, tax deferred, or tax exempt. Three different kinds. Which one's the best? Tax exempt. Never have to pay taxes. That's the best, right? Give me an example of a tax exempt benefit. And when I say benefit, I mean like you get a job somewhere and you get a benefit. As a teacher, there's a lot of benefits. I get medical insurance, I get this, I get that. What tax exempt benefits do I get? Can anybody name any? Well, one thing I get is life insurance. I get a free life insurance that I don't pay taxes on. It has value. It provides me with some value, but I don't have to pay any taxes because it's tax exempt. Okay? Do you remember in the world of investments, we talked about a little bit about Roth IRAs. We'll talk a lot more about them. Roths are tax exempt. Most retirement investment programs are tax deferred, where you don't have to pay taxes until you start taking the money out. That's tax deferred. Okay? What kinds of taxes do employers pay for you? Anybody know? When you get a job and you work and you earn $100 and they take out taxes, what taxes are they taking out?
Income tax?
They take out income tax for federal income tax. They take out state income tax. That's called FIT and SIT, federal and state income tax. They also take out Social Security and Medicare. That's called FICA. Social Security and Medicare together. And there could be other things they take out, but they take out at least those. You may not know this, but your employer has to match your Social Security and your Medicare. It costs them. If they take out $27 out of your check for Social Security, they also take the employer has to match it, has to put in $27 for you. The employer also has FUTA and SUTA and some other taxes, but they have to pay Social Security and Medicare for you, in addition to you, okay? So, be aware of that. Let's see. What's the disadvantage of using a safety deposit box?
Being cut off.
That's really not a big concern. Chances of you, yeah, no.
You can't access it like all the time.
Yes, it is mildly inconvenient, and it costs money. There is a fee. It can cost $60, $80, maybe even $100 in some places per year for the safety deposit box. And you got to go get in your car and drive there if you want to look at your policy or whatever. What's a liquid asset mean?
Easily accessible.
Easily, remember, a liquid means turning it back into cash. So a savings account is very liquid. Cash under your mattress is extremely liquid. Anything that you can turn into cash in a day or two is very liquid, right? Real estate investment or a small business investment of something, that's not very liquid at all. If you put your money away into a CD for 5 years, that's not liquid. You can't touch it for 5 years. Okay? What's a liability? Remember we talked about net worth, assets minus liabilities. What is a liability?
What you
It's what? A debt. Liabilities equal debt. We have two kinds. We have a whole bunch of different kinds, but they can be broken down into current liabilities and long-term liabilities. What's a long-term liability? Give me an example of a long-term liability.
Mortgage.
A mortgage or a car loan, where you're making payments every month and you're going to be paying on it for years. That's a long-term liability. What's a current liability?
Paying your phone bill.
Yeah, a current liability, not a phone bill, that's a bill. A current liability is a debt that you owe right now.
Oh. I owe my friend $20.
Then you have a current liability.
Well,
Okay.
why?
One example is taxes. When you owe your taxes, you owe them right away. That's not a long-term liability. What's the first step of planning a budget?
Determining your income.
No. That's step number 2.
recording your expenses.
No. That's step number 4.
Determining financial goals.
That's step number one. Ryan's right on the money. It's determining your financial goal. That's correct. Setting goals is number one. All right. Name 2 ways that you can increase your net worth.
Increase income.
You can, well, we gotta be careful, it's not just income. In order to increase your net worth, you have to convert your income to an asset. Like you have to save it, or you have to buy an asset, or make an investment of some sort. It's not just increasing your income. If you increase your income and you increase your expenses, then it's not going to increase your net worth. But you're right. It's increasing your assets or
Decreasing your liabilities.
decreasing your liabilities. Those are the 2 ways you increase your net worth. If you get $10,000 and pay off debt, you have just increased your net worth by $10,000, obviously. Okay? Let's see. What's the negative thing about using a credit card? This is pretty obvious.
If you're not careful.
Well, what happens when you use a credit card? You have to pay interest. You have to pay fees. So there's an expense when you charge something or when you go into debt. You're going to have to pay additional fees. Okay. Let's see. Oh brother, what's a cooperative? I think that is one of the words. I think we saw that word in chapter 2 or chapter 1. A cooperative is an organization of people or businesses that get together to benefit everybody in the cooperative. For example, a cooperative might be all the wheat farmers in southern Kansas. They may all get together and call it a cooperative, and they might be able to buy fertilizer, and they might be able to get other products cheaper because they're buying such a big quantity. All the pork farmers, do you call them pork farmers? I don't know. People that raise pigs, they join a cooperative. Even though they're competitors in a sense, they also join together to all of them save money. Okay? A cooperative can be pretty powerful. Okay? Let's see. What is direct selling? Direct selling. Go.
Isn't it like buying things on the internet or over the phone?
Yes. Anytime you don't go into a store to buy something, when you walk into a store to buy something, then that's not called direct selling. Direct selling is when they approach you. They either knock on your door, or you get something in the mail, or you go on the internet to buy something. That's called direct selling. And one of the big advantages of direct selling is what?
You can return it.
What?
You can return it.
No, I mean you can, but that's not one of the. You can also return things to stores. The biggest convenience is that it's convenience. That it's very convenient. You can go on the internet, you can buy something, 2 days later, 3 days later, it shows up at your door. Now, it may not be a big deal if you live down the street from Target, but there's a lot of people in the world that don't live close to a lot of stores. And they depend on internet and catalogs and phone calls and stuff to buy stuff they need. What's the Better Business Bureau? BBB. We talked about it last time. Better Business Bureau. It's an organization or an agency where you can file complaints with about local merchants. If you get ripped off at Lehigh Bakery, you can call the Better Business Bureau and file a complaint, for what it's worth. Okay? If somebody owes you $4,000 and they're not paying you, what's the best thing to do?
Go beat them up.
No, that's not a good thing to do. That will not get you your $4,000. What should you do? You're going to sue them. Where are you going to sue them?
Small claims.
Small claims court is the best place to go with a small amount of money.
But you
Remember I told you the story about not playing in the courtroom without an attorney? Well, small claims does not allow attorneys. So if it's a small amount, but who decides the case in a small claims court? The judge does. There is a real judge who's in charge of determining and issuing judgments. Okay? Let's see. Okay, we're almost done here. Tell me, what's unit pricing?
Price per ounce of good.
Okay, it's a law that requires, specifically grocery stores, to provide you an opportunity to compare different products, the price of different products, right? So they break it down by the ounce. That's unit pricing. What is, we know what a cooperative is, we just talked about that. What is mediation and arbitration?
Well, third party settles it for you.
Well-
Mediations where neutral third party helps with communication between two parties. Mediation is where the third party holds final legal binding judgment.
Well, that's arbitration. You said it right, except you got the words mixed up. Mediation is non-binding, arbitration is binding. So arbitration is just like the judge. Mediation is just some guy trying to come up with a compromise. And he tries or she tries to talk everybody into accepting some kind of middle ground. That's mediation, okay? Let's see, open dating.
Expiration dates.
It's what?
Expiration dates.
Expiration dates on products is called open dating. And it's a big deal, if you think about it. Can you imagine what it was like before the law required expiration dates? When you bought products and you never knew how long they had been sitting on the shelf? How often would you buy a product, take it home, open it up, and find it had already spoiled?
I'd have been mad.
That would be upsetting, wouldn't it? I'm sure it happened a lot back in the old days. It doesn't happen very often now, does it? When was the last time you opened something and it was already bad?
When you buy school lunch.
School lunch, all right. That's not an expiration date problem. That's a different kind of problem, school lunch. Good one, though. I like that. All right, let's see. What is class action lawsuit?
Multiple people get together to sue.
Good. Multiple people come together in one lawsuit and sue. When we have a lot of victims, then sometimes the most efficient way to get recompense? Yeah. Is go through a class action lawsuit. Rebate? What's the deal with rebate? Right, it's a cashback type deal, but they don't give it to you at the time of sale. It's a very good thing for businesses to do because many people do not go through the trouble of actually claiming their rebate. So, pretty clever. And fraud. What's fraud? How would you define fraud? Fraud is dishonest business practices. That's good enough. Anytime there's a dishonest business practice. And that, my friends, is the review for the test. Remember, 50 questions. Anybody have any questions or concerns? Okay. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Okay.